be with Dr. Bartholomew Orr, pastor, author, husband, family man, and thought leader as he encounters other believers who have impacted the world with their God-given gifts and talents. Let's meet the people who are moving the church forward with their faith, wisdom, direction, and innovation. It's spiritual, it's motivational, it's Church Forward.
Well, welcome to another Church Forward Conversation. I'm your host, Bartholomew Orr, and these conversations chronicle the stories and lifestyle of some of the world's most innovative people who will share how their faith, wisdom, and direction helped them to change lives and make a difference really in these unprecedented times. And I'm so excited today because I get a chance to sit across from Toni WIlliams, better known as Interim Superintendent of the Shelby County. No, is it Memphis Shelby County Schools?
Yes, sir, Pastor Orr.
How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, and I'm just glad to be here with you, my pastor.
Oh, my goodness. That's right. I get a chance to say that I am your pastor.
Yes, you get to claim it.
And look, and you've been here for some years.
Yes.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And so I understand you are a native Memphian.
I am. So I graduated from Whitehaven High School.
Oh, the Whitehaven.
The Whitehaven High School.
The Whitehaven High School.
So if you're from Memphis, Tennessee, you definitely have to say what high school you're from.
That's right.
And I don't know if they do that in Mississippi. Do they?
Oh, yeah. We still claim our high schools.
Yes.
Look, I'm a public school fella, so South Haven High School. But I understand you actually had somebody in your class that graduated with you.
Yes.
That's also a part of
this
Brown.
Nice guy. He was a little nerdy in school. He didn't say anything but 2 words the entire school year. And that is Pastor Derek Anderson.
Our executive pastor.
Yes.
And so to see him get up and preach.
Yes. It's amazing to just watch him and the gentleman that he's grown into as the young man that I got a chance to see in middle school and high school, and just the work that he's doing at Brown. I'm extremely proud of him. I don't know where he is, but I'm proud of you, man. Yeah.
Well, look, he is probably running from one campus to the other because he has so much to do around here at Brown. And it's just, look, it's a testament of Memphis Shelby County school system that have turned out, my goodness, executive pastors, interim superintendents,
a CFO. Look, we can go on and on and on. The list goes on.
Because you weren't originally a part of the education system in terms of career-wise, right?
So I'll tell you a little bit about my background. Went off to Atlanta, Georgia, and decided I was never coming back home to Memphis. So I think that's a testament to say that when we plan, God laughs, right?
That's right.
So graduated from Clark Atlanta University from their 5th-year program, and I graduated in the finance sector, accounting and finance. And so I started out with PricewaterhouseCoopers, a part of the big 4 accounting firms. And so I was an auditor. I lived out of my suitcase for about 3 years straight. And
just traveling from
across the entire nation. And so I worked for companies through Pricewaterhouse to audit, like Coca-Cola, International Paper, and so big corporate companies. And then transitioned over, I got tired of living out of my suitcase, transitioned over to the corporate arena. And I love to just kind of laugh to say I made golf carts for quite some time. But I really did make golf carts, Pastor Orr. I was their accountant for quite some time, and I was in Augusta, Georgia. And so I got homesick. And so Mom had sickle cell anemia, and so got homesick, decided to come home to Memphis, Tennessee. And I was like, well, I've been doing this corporate thing for quite some time. Let me transition over to something that's easy, education.
And so you brought all of your financial skills over to the school board.
But I have to laugh because during that time, I moved back in the middle of a merged district. So that was in 2014 when there was Memphis City Schools and Shelby County Schools that merged over into one. And so nothing was easy about that. We had a 23-member board at that time, and we were trying to figure out how to make the school system work, right?
So what was your position then?
Yes, I was the accounting manager at that time.
My goodness, wow. So, many people don't realize this, but at Christian Brothers, I didn't go away. I stayed here. But at Christian Brothers, for 1 year, my major was accounting.
Oh yeah, so you know how to do some debits and credits.
I know how to do some debits and credits. but look, that's a lot because I love numbers and loved math. I was looking forward to being a CPA and try to make some money. And then,
so my pastor was going to be a CPA.
Your pastor was going to be a CPA.
Okay.
In my sophomore year, that year that I was accounting major, I actually got elected pastor of Brown.
Oh, wow.
And it was after that I said, okay, you know what? Let me go ahead, and the Lord is really calling me to do this preaching thing, and it seemed like it's going to, be a career. Let me get an education.
Well, you know what? I think you probably are a much better pastor than a CPA. How about that?
Well, I think so too. I'm glad I don't have to do assets and debits and all of that stuff all day long.
Yeah, you changing in and just really doing great work here. So we don't need you to be behind the numbers.
Well, hey, so homegrown. And just a part of Memphis, got back here. Now, tell me about the road to interim superintendent.
So it has been an interesting road, I will say. So started it back in 2014 and really have been enjoying Pastor Orr working behind the scenes. So I worked in academics, operations, and with those leaders to help them craft the district's budget. And so I've been behind the scenes really orchestrating our fiscal planning for over $1 billion to support 110,000 students. So that has been some great work, fiscal planning. And then as of recently, we got COVID. COVID changed the world as we know it. And so I've been behind the scenes. Now our budget has grown from $1 billion to $2 billion in crafting really just, great strategies to ensure that we reduce pandemic learning loss. We have social emotional learning supports and just really enjoying that. Yeah. And so during the time, and, our board tapped me. It was an interesting time where our superintendent at that time resigned. We pretty much lost the community's trust. And, our board was really looking to slow down and understand the next leader for Memphis Shelby County Schools. They needed somebody with integrity. They needed somebody that's direct. I hate to tell you, your member here, tell it off, right?
Okay.
Direct. Right.
And you're Baptist, I can see that.
Yes, all right. Bless me with that one, right? But just really someone that they can put in the seat that knew the organization. And so they tapped me to just come in and say, all right, we need to restore trust. How do we do that? We really need to tackle some of the issues at that time. And so they brought me in. And it was a interesting moment just because of all the challenges that we've been facing as a district. The latest one, we were about to lose about 4 schools in the midst of me transitioning and taking over. So it has been a journey stepping into the role and not just, sitting in the role, but trying to really move the district during this time.
That's great. That's great. And I like that you said that, not just sitting in the role, but hey, continuing to move the district forward.
That's right, Pastor. I don't think they expected that. So
but you know what? It comes with your background because faith has been a part of your life, even just growing up. Tell me a little bit about just your faith journey.
Yes. I probably will start backwards, just because it has been an interesting time. I don't know that during the time of stepping in and moving, I felt that I could probably be the best person. I was like, man, it's a lot going on. I'll start with just the 4 schools that we were about to lose. That impacted 3,000 students at that time. And we had a lot of key leadership changes at that time. I can go on and on and on, Pastor Orr. So just starting backwards with my faith journey, I've had some conversations with God late at night to say, and especially in the beginning, this is a lot going on, right? But I think when we plan, God laughs sometimes. Yeah. And so he's happened to invite me into places that I didn't necessarily invite myself. But during those transitions of me taking over, asking God for the strength to continue forward in moments that looked like, we weren't going to make it through or this was a difficult challenge, that's where my faith has really been strong because when you get over, you look backwards and say, look how far we've come. I'll give you an example, even about those schools. During this short period of time, we were about to lose those schools. We got to keep them. And then there was a $100 million deal that was closed. So just think about the beginning of taking over the job and not really seeing my way through to now just even that one thing, you know? And it's $100 million for our community. So I'll give you a little dap on that.
That's right. That's right. Hey,
so,
to God be the glory.
Yeah, so just different moments in my life where I don't know that, you know, like I said, I invited myself in those situations, but God has shown me that, hey, if you rely on him, you continue to pray and you keep forward and you keep an honest and true heart, you'll be fine. We'll be fine. You got this.
Now, did you grow up in church?
Yes, I did. I love some good old music. You have me crying when you get the hum and holler some days. My favorite one is Dr. Watts.
Okay.
But I grew up in a small church, St. Tonis Baptist Church. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then
on Shelby Drive.
There you go. But then I transitioned around college. I was going back and forth from Atlanta, and my mom found Brown. And at that time, she was just really excited about, like, you coming up as a pastor during that time. So,
well, hey, and my goodness, because it's 34. Are you 34 years old?
I am 30. I will be 38 in May. I'm losing count, man.
Oh, my goodness. So when I came to Brown, you were just 4 years old.
Yes, I was 38. I'll be 38.
Wow.
Well, you're looking younger than me, Pastor Orr. So.
No. The Lord has blessed both of us. But now, if you had to describe yourself, what would you know, if you had 3 words to describe yourself?
I'm going to cheat a little bit.
Okay.
A motivator of excellence would be 1.
All right.
Action-oriented would be 2. And maybe reflective would be the 3rd one. And I know that was more than 3 words, but I'll start with the motivator of excellence.
Yeah.
I was brought up to not do things.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to do something, you're going to step into something, you better do it at 150%. And so I had a colleague that was reminding me earlier about when she started to work with me, how I pushed her and would really push her in a way that challenged her thinking to now she's progressed through the organization and she's 3 levels up from when we started, you know, her journey.
God be the glory.
Yeah. So just really pushing.
Yeah.
And I like to say amens are good at the end of prayer, but you don't need a lot of amen people around you. So, you know, I'm often pushing my team, my colleagues of how do we do this thing better? You know, how let's question ourselves and challenge ourselves. Action oriented, because I can't sit still, so you might as well keep it moving and move it productively forward. And then just really reflective. I think most times we can get caught up in our own selves and parading our own, you know, glories and victories. But really, I think every day for me, I reassess myself at the end of the day to say, how can I do this better? You know, some days I get a D- pastor and say we didn't do so well today. But you know, some days,
but you know that
I take
honesty,
a look and,
I mean, is so needed these days because there are times that we fail. There are times that, you know, we don't do things as well as we could have. Yeah. And to be honest with yourself that's the best thing. I
would agree. So there's nothing like self-accountability.
All right. Now, what type of world do you envision for our children?
You know, for me, I was not quite prepared. So when I got to college, I would have to take the opportunity to say that I really didn't show up prepared. So I was in a situation where I had to do remedial classes and courses, a lot of pre-courses when I should have taken that opportunity in high school. And so I want to envision our students to where they show up. They don't have confidence issues. They feel prepared to compete globally. So that's what I want for our students. And then I also want our students to have options. Not everybody is going to go to college. And so I envision preparing these students right now and giving them opportunities to where when they show up wherever they're going, they don't have to choose different paths that won't lead them anywhere, you know?
And we really have to invest in our students to make that happen because other communities
are invested
heavily, especially, my goodness, what STEM is. You know, you see that everywhere that people talk about STEM, and we need it so desperate.
Yes. So the state of Tennessee right now has really decided to put a focus on things like STEM, CCTE, which is really the vocational education, right? Okay. And so they're investing heavily in the education right now, but I will tell you that we can continue to do better as a state, a community, a local legislators. I'm calling on everybody, and it's not just always about funding as an investment. Right. It could be the time, mentors, exposure. So for me, I envision our students being exposed and being confident that when they show up wherever they're going, they're like, okay, I deserve to be here. I don't care what school you came from.
Hey.
I'm here too,
And you talk about all of those opportunities and exposing the students. Brown gets the wonderful privilege to partner with many of the schools, even in Memphis, Shelby County. And we're excited because one program actually, and I think it's with the White Haven, it actually deals with horses.
Yes,
so
with Vince from School Seed. Yes, I've seen a lot of your pictures. I need to see you on a horse also.
Look, I need to go out there. I'm a country boy, so I do know how to get on. Get on a horse and ride. So faith is so important.
Yes.
But then wisdom, because you're here. God has equipped you with the knowledge and understanding. I really love that, Toni, that you bring the fiscal responsibility and background to this. And then you have the years where you've been able to see how to shape the academic side of things as well. So, I think you're kind of bringing a lot of different dynamics to this position. What wisdom do you have for, say, young Black women who want to be successful?
I would say, number one, keep yourself around mentors. Definitely mentors would be the number one thing. Number two, don't really question yourself when you come to the table. I look back on wasted time that I wasted for myself and questioning whether I belonged at a certain table. I want to give the encouragement to young Black women that you belong. Ask as many questions as possible. Don't care who you may offend, and just really be, confident in who you are when you show up. And so also, if you want to be a CFO, find CFO mentors, right? If you want to be a superintendent, find, some of my mentors are across the nation, so I call on superintendents to say, hey, I may not have this academic background on this certain strategy. What are you guys doing at your school district, right?
You know what? If it's working somewhere, why reinvent the wheel?
There you go.
There you go. And we can learn from each other.
Yes.
I like that. I like that. So what tips would you give people who have dreams that require them to leave their comfort zone?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I will say this, that if you stay in your comfort zone, I don't know that is what God has envisioned for you. You're never going to impact change. You're never going to move in a place that impacts others, right? So I would say we're all uncomfortable with stepping out, including me, most days, right? But I think that you have to worry about the ultimate goal of what you want to accomplish and how much change that you can impact. And so that would be just my advice, that have faith, number two, because a lot of times we're afraid of stepping out, and then God has us covered.
All right, so what's been one of these greatest lessons that you've learned as a leader?
You know what has gotten me in the last couple months, right? We'll just take during this interim time to make it relevant, is people actually want to be heard. And so if you listen to people, sometimes you can impact change at a greater level and quicker. During this time that I've served as a superintendent, I've listened to teachers. I have reinvented collaborative conferencing with our union teacher associations. We hadn't had a teacher agreement since 2018.
Really?
And so we got one signed in December. Working on teacher compensation.
Let me do another bump here.
That one was interesting. But I think that, sometimes people can put their differences to the side to say what's best for the greater good, right? So listening has been one that has helped. We have people don't know this, we have about 13,000 to 14,000 English as a second language students. And so really serving them in our district. We don't talk about that a lot. Yeah. So listening to them in their community and figuring out ways to better serve. I can go on and on. Athletics, right? Who would ever thought, and I'm coming from a finance nerd background, so I'm letting it be known that I really wasn't athletic in school, right? But listening to coaches, athletic directors to say, hey, we're losing a lot of our students to surrounding schools. How can we invest in facilities where our students deserve, facilities like Bartlett? So just really taking the opportunity to listen, but with action. So that's what I've learned in this short time in this particular role, that people care when you listen.
Well, one of the things that I tell young pastors all the time is, hey, when you come into a new situation, listen, learn, love the people, and in time they will let you lead.
There you
go. because so oftentimes we come in and it's like, okay, I know everything, I have all of the answer, and you don't listen, and you can quickly get out of touch with people.
I'm with you, Pastor.
I like that. I like that. Well, so when did God give you that you would say this sense to kind of expand your territory to, because even with them coming asking, hey, can you take this? How did you sense God was moving you into this?
Well, my first response was, what did y'all say? What did you say? Are you sure? What did you say? But then my second response was, why not? You lead with a pure heart, and you lead with high integrity, and you want what's best for students. Who better to lead at a time where you know the ins and outs of a $2 billion budget?
Right.
And so I think for me, really, kind of praying and finding myself alone to say, hey, why not? Trust God. Trust that he's going to lead you and this school district and this community in a direction to where we're going to improve academic outcomes, right? We already got the fiscal management there, so why not?
All right. So you said the next word there, direction. Trust God for this direction. Where do you see this district going in the future?
I love it, Pastor Orr. So right now we're at a 20% ready graduate rate, which means that the state defines that as, do we have our students graduating with certifications? Do we have our students ready for college with a 21 or higher on the ACT, right?
Okay.
And so my vision over the next 10 years will be 80%. But I think that it's going to take some difficult conversations and not doing what we used to do and really investing in a different way. Right. And so I think sometimes as a district or even as an organization, we put our money in a place to where we're comfortable doing the same old things.
Okay.
And to make that type of change, you have to really be strategic and be bold. And so for me, I see our school district leading to where we have ready graduates at 80% instead of 20%.
All right. Strategic. We have to be bold.
Yes.
But you gave a number there. You said in the next 10 years. Okay, I need to ask you this question now.
How are you going to get there?
Well, not only how are you going to get there, but do you see yourself as superintendent? Tell me about that process and where they are on things.
Well, I believe it's been the last 2 weeks that they hired a search firm. So they do have a search firm, the board. They have allowed me now to be a part of the process. So that was something totally different that I didn't have the opportunity because it was sort of a placeholder time frame. I think they have been pleasantly surprised, the community as well, to say, man, she's bold. This is what we need, this type of shakeup. Yeah. And then for me, I've taken the opportunity to say, well, why not? I just got $100 million in less than a month. How can I take this energy and keep our district moving, reinstill the trust? So
am I hearing that Toni WIlliams is going to put your name in the hat for the...
Why not, Pastor Orr?
Okay, all right. Let's make sure that we got that.
That is correctly. Exclusive.
Hey, exclusive, and you're hearing it right here on the Church Forward podcast with Bartholomew Orr. Toni WIlliams is putting her name in the hat for Superintendent of Memphis Shelby County.
That is
Schools.
Right. You got an exclusive, Pastor Orr.
God bless you. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. We'll see how that journey goes. But for me, I'm going to serve with the highest integrity no matter what.
Well, and look, what you have already stated in terms of, one, the years that you've been with the district, but the mere fact that you come at it from a different approach. So you know the financial, the fiscal side of things.
Operational.
You've been able now to see, to listen, and to hear even on the academic side where we are and where we need to get to. So, I mean, who better to be the next superintendent of Memphis Shelby County schools?
Yeah, that is right, Pastor.
I'm excited about that. Well, we'll talk about innovation because that's one of the things that you talked about, investing and being bold enough to invest in different ways. So how do you see moving forward?
Okay, over the next couple months, I will say that, I am working extremely hard with our teachers. I think in leading by listening, I think it starts with ensuring that we have teachers, we stabilize retention. And to be honest with you, in leading and listening, some days I went home, I was like, oh God, we got a lot of work to do to ensure that we support teachers, but building a pipeline, but not just building, but retaining them. So I am proposing, and you got to pray extremely hard tomorrow, that there's a $27 million increase in teacher compensation that we're invested in. And so I think for me, over these next couple months, is starting with teacher compensation. Another big one, I'm meeting with the chamber, business leaders, because we have a $44 million CCTE grant. That is $1 million that's going to go to every high school, $500,000 for middle schools. And this is a career, like this could really impact our community. And the investment is around our VOTEC or CCT. Most people say VOTEC, right? And just ensuring that students are supported. And so I see right now we have 6,000 certifications that, our students are getting. I want them to get intentional certifications like welding, not just OSHA, but welding, different things that could be a game changer for our workforce, So just those are some of the key things that we're working on.
And and that's exciting that you're even just thinking about that and just looking at where can we be and how can the community come alongside.
There you go.
Because look, we need to know that we have all different kinds of students, and how do we make sure the best is there for every last one. And I love that vocational training. Well, final question. If you could have dinner with any teacher from your past, who would it be and why?
It would be interesting enough, my geometry teacher from Whitehaven High School, who we often have dinner. He is now the principal at Whitehaven High School.
Really?
You said really? Yes.
And so he was
my geometry teacher. We have dinner all the time, and it's an interesting time for us. But we definitely we fight now that I'm the boss, and you could hear some of the conversations. But it's all fun. It's love, and it's the Whitehaven community.
Well, and you know what? He must be very proud.
He is.
To know that, hey, imparting, talking about angles and cosine.
There you go.
Made a difference in the life of a student that now is superintendent of the district.
He's extremely proud. You wouldn't imagine some of the conversations we have behind the scenes.
Oh, that is fantastic. And Whitehaven is one of the schools that we partner heavily with. So we're excited about that. Yeah. Look, you have been listening to the Church Forward conversation with Bartholomew Orr. So thankful. Please subscribe to all of our social media outlets out there. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Look, pass this on. We need some others to know and to hear the direction and the future direction of the Memphis Shelby County School District. And so, Toni, thank you so very much for coming in, and we're excited, praying God's favor on this next phase.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Thank you.
If someone was thinking about going into journalism, what advice would you give?
I would give them learn. It's very important, and I wish I would have learned this early on in my career. To less is more. Less is more.